welcome back to Possible Live Leadership Journey to Self. Welcome. If you're joining us for the first time, regardless of where you're joining us from, please let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know whether you're team live or team replay. But you are in for a treat. You will notice in the LinkedIn post, I have the links to our Reflections Journey to Self. And joining us today is the fabulous Aries, and she will introduce herself shortly. And if you didn't watch the beginning of Reflections Journey to Self, you'll notice we met each other in a clubhouse room with amazing Ali, who Ali joined us for the alchemy of anger. And the coolest part was I tuned in to join them at 6 o'clock in the morning, non-morning girl. And I'm listening to their gems and they're talking about positive intelligence, mental fitness for life, mental fitness. If you haven't heard of a PQ cohort, Aries in her million certifications is, and I tease her, yep, zillions of certifications. I'm certified in trust. Aries is certified in everything else. Hey, Yolanda, warm, warm welcome. Thank you again for joining us. But you'll love it is that Aries and Ali would talk about positive intelligence for teams and for organizations. And I loved it at the time of deeper in my trust journey of getting to the point where they were integrating the vulnerability and the transparency lens. And here we are today with this amazing author. I can't wait as we deepen our Journey to Self series, because sooner or later I'm going to be able to say this award-winning author. I knew her when. And what I really most appreciate about her is her opportunity to get centered and share. And Annie Osung on YouTube in the previous, the incarnation of Reflections Journey to Self. And he gave her the ultimate compliment. He talked about her radical transparency. And PQ taught me transparency, and from this beautiful woman and some other coaches, but especially from this beautiful woman in her process of her book, Authenticity Unveiled, Journey to Self. I'm learning a lot about radical transparency. Hey, Sean Michael, thank you again for popping in to join us on Friday for We Rise and Soar. And Sean is joining us. I just mentioned Sean is joining us after his Monday mindset. And Aries, please share your book. I'm going to grab something to drink, and we're going to raise a glass to virtual toast to celebrate whatever is happening in the worlds of our listeners and of our lives. So thank you so much for joining us again. Please share from that beautiful space that you always create, and we will go with you on a journey to self.
Oh, now I'm on the spot. Hi, everybody. I'm Aries. Thank you, Mel, for introducing me. And I felt that I've been very much elevated, and this elevator is pumping up, and I'm finding that I'm going quite high, and I feel a bit quite scary at this moment. So that's how I'm feeling. And so I have a lot of and at this moment, as you can see. So so thank you again. Yes, I do. I met Mel. I don't know when. This is quite a number of years back in Clubhouse, when we are all part of the PQ coaches. I used to host a room there with Angie. That's where I met her, and then of course the relationship kind of over the years I come to respect her a lot because I mean, we are different, but I appreciate the difference in her, and I appreciate her for giving me this room to speak about my book. Shall I throw up the book? Oh, sorry, I haven't introduced myself. So I'm Aries. I'm based out of the UK. and originally from Singapore. And I've been coaching for about 7 years. I come from banking. And what else I'm going to say? Well, so today I'm here to talk about my book. So I should stay on track. So I'm going to show you. So this is the book. Um, as you can see, there is mask on the book, and I choose the mask because I think we are all wearing a mask. Um, Not that the mask is bad, it's just that when we wear the mask for too long, we forget what is our real self look like. So when I saw my partner actually came out with this, I won't deny he came out with this. And when I see this, I say, yeah, this must be the one. And I choose white because white is a very symbolic color for me. Number one, I do like white. Number two, white is my eldest son's favorite color. So I think this kind of represent the best way to pay tribute to him. And authenticity unveiled is about we have the many layers, and I think it's about peeling back the layers and coming back to ourselves. And the coming back is that journey. And I would say that we are all on that journey to return to ourselves. And on Saturday, this is Monday, yeah, 2 days ago, Saturday, I did my first reader circles for those people who did the pre-order. And we have a very deep sessions. We talk about a little bit about the companion guide, because on the top of the on this book, at the back of it, I talk about you can download the free companion guide where there will be a lot more reflection questions. And I say I wanted to name it the across the bridge, but I felt that was just too much, and I decided to take it off and just call it a companion guide. And I kind of asked everybody where they are on the bridge, and we started with that metaphor in our sessions. Yeah. And I think we have someone say they have many different bridges: a family bridge, career bridge, and health bridge. And someone says she was at the end of the bridge, but she find it difficult to get off the bridge. Um, yeah. So I don't know where you are on your bridge, but I'm sorry you're disappointed. Mel will be coming on soon.
He is not disappointed. And any so we want to thank you. Welcome, Mike. Welcome, Christy. Welcome, Annie. Welcome, beautiful Jackie. Ah, beautiful Christy. These are some amazing, energetic people. And Annie wanted to know where's Mel. So Annie, I thanked you for calling Aries on YouTube. You mentioned in our reflections, Journey to Self. You mentioned you mentioned her radical transparency, and you'll laugh because our Annie wanted to know where I was. So I caught the tail end of your chat with Shawn Michael, and as Aries will let you know, I popped in kind of late into my own studio. So it's a reminder. I have 3 beverages here, and while we're here toasting Ari's book, Authenticity, Authenticity Unveiled, Journey to Self. And Jackie, I've spending a lot of time with Jackie recently is such a pleasure. And the same with Christy. I really have to thank you, and hanging out with Bill Rochelle, who we were honored. He shared a song and in the beginning of his live stream yesterday, an affirmation. And if you don't know some of these amazing authors, I'll reshare Leslie Flowers. And Leslie Flowers has a hot thoughts carousel. And today I just can't speak. It's just that kind of day. And it's one of the reasons why I'm delighted Aries is here. I think one of the really good things, and he's like, where is Mel? It's a really good reminder in this journey to self that this girl from the Bronx, We occasionally we show up different ways. We show up different ways in families, with our friends. And last night I was up kind of late with Bill Rochelle's Wind Down, uh, which Bill has some fun music like Michael does, and I call him Michael, but Mike and Annie are sharing some wonderful music to kind of delight us. And I've really been leaning into musical language. And I said to Aries, I'm a little tired from Mill today. I've written about 25,000 words in between our last two live streams in a week. And maybe there were some days with 5,000 words. And part of this too, if you look at Ari's wonderful book or her companion guide, Aries asks us questions, and every question you want to pick up a pen, or you want to hit pause, or you want to reach for a bookmark, and you just want to sit with it. It's one of the fun parts. And Aries is mentioning, you're right. I probably did meet you in Angie Alexander's Sage Leadership community. And then I popped into PQ Coaches Collective and caught you there with Ali. But at 6 o'clock in the morning, just like this morning, I had the chance to pop in and see Annie and Zion on their show early this morning. And I think it's also a reminder we can't be everywhere in our journey to self, whether we're focusing on self care. And I have tons of self care planned for the next 2 weeks. I actually called a dear friend yesterday, made a lunch date, and made a date to go back to Breath of Life, which is a wellness center locally in Newburgh. Haven't been in, Aries. I haven't been for a detox foot bath in like 12 and a half months. That's a long time. So I made a deal with her. We were supposed to go on Friday, and I ended up sleeping in to kind of recharge some energies. And as you would say, with all the writing, the writing pages, that wellspring from where you create. And Annie will laugh because Annie's like, Mel, where's the book? The book is coming, Annie. It's like Paul Mason, divine time, divine wine, the wine in its own time. The grapes are fermenting. I just redid the outline again. You'll laugh. But Aries, when you had shared with me in a message that your book had sections, and this is something that Shawn Michael shared with us during his when he joined us for We Rise and Soar. But your book has sections. Which is there a way that in your reading circle are you approaching it section by section, or is there a place in that leadership journey to self where you suggest people start? And leader can mean emerging leader you don't may not recognize. And if you look at one of Christie's amazing recent posts, hey, Coach Carrie, we have a choice between, as Sean's been going in his identity series, in his mindsets on Monday, we have a choice from the role where we start. Where are you starting with your readers in your reading circle? And kind of who is that for?
Thanks, Mel. Thanks for the questions. The circle is really for people who have started reading the book and have the companion guide. So I think the circle will really be people who want to dive deeper, but not on their own, but together with other people on the journey. So you know that you're not alone. So I would say the book it kind of moved through a pretty clear psychological journey. So I like to put it as so in the book there are three parts, right? So the first part is talking, I say, is foundation. So I talk about childhood, where we begin to see patterns and behavior, and what does that put on us unconsciously as we grow up as an adult. And then I talk about the turning point, and then I talk about the middle part of the book is about the exploration. When I do a lot, I talk about readiness. How ready are you to venture into the next part of life? I talk about the different needs that we have, and that will come in also depend on stage of our life. I talk about my search using basically assessment like personality, strength, whatever you can find it. And then finally, what is how does the value come in to kind of hold the whole picture together? And the last part is integration, talking about there's a lot of the PQ there. I talk about courage and sage and loving yourself, why that's so important. And the last part is about practice, which is why it's called a journey, because none of us will reach a destination unless we are done. So it's always on the journey. And even we learn mindfulness, we learn paying attention. There are times that we still fall down, there are times that we feel down. So it's about having that self-compassion to come back. Yeah. So the circles is I plan to do like 3 cycle, but each cycle is done based on the book theme like recognition, awakening, grounding, and leaving it. So recognition is like notice who and what shaped me or what made me broke open. So the moment before, after, and awakening is really seeing the autopilot, removing the mask and asking yourself, who am I really? And then the grounding is what do you stand for? How do you treat yourself, your values, your self-compassion, and leaving it is the courage and the practice. So like I say, I want to go to like 3 circles. So the first circle, they all goes to the same circle. But the first circle is really just seeing the patterns, and then and then you go to the next cycle and the next cycle, and each cycle we go a bit deeper. Yeah, that's the book. Mel, is that
I
did I answer your question?
It sure did, but I think the thing you're really catching my eye, and as I've been having conversations with Bill Rochelle and about my with my small and mighty team about changes and the shifts that are coming, and one of those daddy's girl, very sensitive to astrology, and Sean Michael and I have just started having our conversations about human design. I actually was chatting a little with Aries about it, and how depending on one of my coaches says you're really good until the sun and the moon, as long as the sun and the moon are still. And I laughed. I said, they're moving 24 hours a day. She said, exactly. That is the flow that you should expect that's happening within you, whether it's an exchange of ideas, whether it's the pen flowing, whether it's relationships flowing, whether it's conversations, whether it's, finally, Cinco de Mayo, my advanced trust facilitator certification project will be in Yvette Bethel's hands. And she'll love it because I'm about to pop. I just mentioned her Pillar of Trust webinars to Carrie and shared a link to Carrie in a previous event. I think for me, the awareness increased at the time when I met Yvette in a virtual conference. And she mentioned trust styles while I was working on a course about styles. I was working on creating connections to scale. Well, after talking with Yvette, creating connections to scale became a coaching program. Creating collaborations to scale became a coaching program after that. And part of it of breaking down the process or the steps, as you would say, of relationships, I think one of the most challenging things was that awakening. I'm grateful for positive intelligence, mental fitness for life, and the trust journey, the emotional intelligence side of it. But the awakening part, I just was having a conversation with a family member about some celebrations of life that happened just before Mother's Day, ah, probably over 3 decades ago, and that the anniversary is coming back. And I think sometimes within it, and Aries and I have been talking a lot, and especially in comments, about gratitude, grief, and growth. And for Aries, Aries leads with grief. We have the 3 words where our awakening is on different levels, on and different soul levels. But I love your invitation to explore when we're ready to venture. When are we ready to take a step? And is it a well reported step? Hi, James. Thank you so much for popping in. Well, warm welcome to Impossible Live, and thank you for joining us from Nigeria. what I learned was that in this process of awakening, there's a different pace. We got to take it slow, just like, and sometimes looking for what I now call divine timing or an inner rhythm, or when you're receiving what I call in a relationship a call to connect. So as opposed to a call to action, and I think Sean mentioned the other day, and I loved it. I think Sean mentioned ROI in terms of returns on impact. That as Aries would say, that process of a practice. And Aries, I need your companion guide because I keep putting a bookmark in.
Uh,
And I now have a new tablet and I could just stop it and just
the book, the last page there, is actually in there. There is a QR code, and you see at the last page here, there is the link and there's a QR code.
see that this is what happens. I usually start books and you'll laugh. I start at the chapters,
Mm,
and sometimes if it's a deep research book, I go to the end to the index or the glossary. But I
mm,
fell so in love with your cover and the maths on it. And during Reflections Journey to Self, you took us through
mm,
that part about maths, and it really aligns on a soul level for me with the deconditioning part, the invitation to kind of change the narratives and deconditioning, change, as you're saying, break through some of the patterns. And I think that's why I'm reading and savoring your book really, really slowly, like it's a delicious slow meal. And what I love too is you mentioned autopilot. You
mm,
mentioned patterns. I'm the puzzle. I used to love puzzles as a kid, puzzles and games. I like geometric patterns. Exquisite Eve has them on, some sides of our logos in the phoenix wings. I love the geometric patterns, but you're reminding us the integration. We get stuck there. We don't necessarily hire coaches quick enough, or we don't hire the right coaches, or we invest in a solution. And somebody I adore sent a message today. There's a program that I've been interested in that they've been offering, but the timing's not right. And they're like, "Well, you sign up today. I will take, give me a deposit. I will hold it for 3 months." Well, in 3 months, I got some stuff. Hey, Bill, you are never late. We have been talking about you the entire time. We're talking about human design, we're talking about soul languages, all the Bill stuff. And that Mel is slightly sleepy from hanging out with Bill on the wind down. And I'll be there again tonight. But Bill, I'll be there after a nap. Ari's in this part of exploring patterns, relationships, trying to discard some of what Yuritsa Ruiz helped me understand was the emotional debris part. We want to discharge it without affecting anyone else's authenticity journey, without stifling their voice. And Ari's just told me the QR code for the companion guide is in the back of the book. Thank you, beautiful. I'm going to ask you later offline for the page number. so that I can, because I think that would be a really big help. It's also a reminder as leaders, as in the self-trust, the self-care, the self-empathy, the self-love journey. And Bill's saying funny. Bill, we have not talked on the phone yet. You just wait. When Christy and I reconnect in person, we're gonna have to, we have to drive one to the other. I will bring Christy to you when we're ready. How about that? But what would you say for me, cultivate trust was is the GPS kind of, which is why I'm launching Cultivate Trust in a Fragile AI World. In the authenticity journey, and I'll say from the genuine journey, one of my team members said, and they was the ones who just turned me on to, they said, you said replenish trust. You got to start using hashtag replenish trust. So now there's a replenish trust playlist, and it's become part of the trust journey. Where do the gear shifts come from in your coaching experience? Is it a willingness to be ready? Is it a timing thing? Hey, beautiful Ileana. Warm welcome. Is it a timing thing? What starts that awareness? Is it a sense of a time, a sense of a demand of place? What would you, where would you say that starts for people in your experience, especially in leadership?
Um, you mean ready to step into leadership?
Step into leadership or step into steps in a journey, steps
Uh,
to start a question or a dialogue with yourself about the inner narratives. So any one of those lanes, or mix them all up, and let's play.
we are all in a journey. We are all on our own journey. I think readiness is probably something stirring inside you, and I think you feel it and you know it. But when you don't feel it, then that means you're not ready. So there's I always say there's no right or wrong, but I would say that age is probably a big factor. I mean, I wouldn't say that. So the range is probably quite wide. I would say the book is more for people midlife. The midlife range is probably late 30s to even up to 70. Um, Reason is because if you are really young, your life is about looking out and going out. So until you have gone out, it's quite difficult to come back. The book is saying coming back. So if you haven't gone out, how are you going to come back?
Mm.
So at what point do you want to come back? It's quite an individual questions. I mean, that's why I say no
When
right.
you say come back, do you mean like a solar return, or you mean returning to a place of a prior step so you can pick up where you left off?
Great question. Return, I meant as in the courage to peel back the layer and look in as in who am I?
Mm.
Move out, you put on and you put on and you put on and you put on. And then if you don't notice, you don't know which one is the real you. If you start taking one, it's like, oh, okay. But and I'm not saying you take off everything, but just notice what you're putting on, and when you put on all those layers, what have happened to you, and who are you now? Do you still know who are you?
Mm.
I mean, all the
Yes.
layers that been put on has been useful. I'm not saying take it off; they're still useful. But the thing is, at where you are now at this point, is it still useful?
That is really amazing, and I think it is useful because I'm a believer in lessons learned, and also in you know, from the old school, some of my elders, they tell you not to chew your cabbage twice. It's an expression sometimes that you will hear. And for those who are hosting live streams later today, welcome Jedi J. For those who are hosting live streams later today, like Bill and Jackie, there is a StreamYard integration issue with LinkedIn happening today. So if you're looking, Bill will see it because he streams to so many platforms simultaneously. But there's an integration issue, and I appreciate it because every time we talk about something really really deep, here we are with the pause, and it's the reminder to take the step. And I thank you for giving us. And you reminded me of another book that I just added to my Audible list. Give yourself permission. The reminder: we don't give ourselves permission to take a step. Family may tell you not to. Timing might tell you not right. A bunch of our family members are just back from Aruba. Bone Beanie. I love Aruba and Eagle and Baby Beach, and they're just back. And hey, Kimberly, thank you for welcome for joining us. We were talking about pockets of peace earlier, and Kimberly is in the house. But in this process of reading your book, of going through the companion guide, of being stuck, and we get stuck sometime in the sacred pause. There's like a pause button. In the old days, we used to talk about staples. There was an easy button, and you had this big red button. It was supposed to be easy. But instead, we need a pause, kind of like when you're waiting for an elevator or you're waiting to get on an escalator.
That's very interesting. So what is that pause to you? Or maybe I ask, um, yeah, um, what would you like that pause to be?
For me, I need the pause to be an opportunity to lean into my faith walk and into what Yvette Bethel in her book Interconnectivity, Flow, and Balance mentions. I need a chance to sense the environment in human design, and I'm grateful for Gwen White and other fabulous guests and Heather Travis who have helped me dive deeply into my chart. Is that one of the environments in my human design chart is the environments are caves. It explains the deep dives. I'm always inviting others to take a deep dive, and I take a deep dive myself. One of my favorite pictures that I'm unable to locate off of the external hard drive that hopefully I'll get the Backblaze data back quick is of a turtle in a turtle shell. I think of the dives sometimes hiding out under the shell. All you can see is the turtle head and the feet popping out. And it's a decision of, as you would say before, in the awareness or the integration, allowing what Allegra Stein suggested to me many moons ago, that things to let things bubble from my depths to the surface. Bill, you're right. We do go to YouTube, but I've learned after live streaming an amazing show I was a guest on in February. I've learned that in certain cases, when we're talking about some really deep stuff, the universe doesn't want me to put it on the YouTube playlist. Carla will mention it. When we get into some of these really deep conversations, my internet goes a little bluey. It happened during We Rise and Soar when Sean and I were talking on Friday. Sean and I can mention it from watching it swirl, kind of like we watched the LinkedIn swirl. So Ari's reflection journey to self is already on YouTube. Leadership journey to self will be there in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, Mel.
Ah, Jay Pasqua. Ah, thank you so much. The storyteller is in the house. The master storyteller. Pleasure to see you and a warm welcome. And I don't want to butcher your name, so I am going to display your name. A pleasure you popping in. I'm noticing also as we're joking about LinkedIn integration, normally our mobile device gives you an idea behind the scenes of what's happening. My mobile device keeps freezing. So Jackie and Bill just want to give you a heads up before you go live today. And he might say that was his experience earlier. Um, where do you start with when you're emerging from a shell? No matter whether you're an introvert, you're an ambivert, an extrovert, little bit of a mix, you're a trailblazer, or you don't know what your style is. Where do you start with coming out
Uh,
of the shell or taking a step?
I would say any of those assessment is quite useful. Whether you're doing a personality assessment, I think I mentioned in chapter 4, right? I talk about the different assessment I went on to do. The personality, you have things like the Big Five, you have MBTI, you have these. They're all useful in its own way. Or strength assessment, they're useful as well. So I want saying that all of them serve a purpose, and I would say that is a very good starting point to give you a sense of your behavior traits, what you prefer. Yeah, so those are a very good starting point. But I would say if you decided to do whatever assessment you want to do, find somebody, find a coach to work with you on that. You don't have to see them for many sessions, but at least debug it, because I have seen people who have done the assessment, but they do not fully understand what it means, and that also happened to me when I first when I did the strength finder, and then I had the strength, but I don't really fully understand. That was at the time before I became a coach myself. So understanding it and realize how you can apply it will help. I think that would be a good starting point. Yeah. Of course, if you are prepared, deep dive into your core value would be very, very useful. You answer a lot of questions to your what you do and what you don't do over your entire life. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned values because, as you were mentioning before about being in certain seasons of age, and sometimes there's a season of leadership. And I love that Jedi Jay is here because Jay, we spent a lot of time in Angie's Sage Leadership community, as has Shawn Michael and some of the other guests, and also in Kimberly's intentional design community. And these are spaces on Clubhouse for those of you who are still looking for audio rooms. And there's also Chatter, where amazing guests like Jonathan Howard are. In the process of these really deep conversations, I love, and people will laugh who watch Aries and I cannot wait to meet you in person. And I jokingly said, I'm coming to the UK next year at towards the end because I need to meet you and Exquisite E and say hi to Annie. Annie, it's, you have time at the end of next year to plan an event. I'll come hang out. But in that process of exploring, or that process of integration, sometimes we get stuck in the seasons, in the complexity of the alignment, or the realignment. It's one of the reasons why, and I love it because Aries and I always agree to disagree. Ari says authenticity. Mel says genuine. Ari says PQ. Mel saying EQ. We met on a PQ bridge, and boy, it led me to a wonderful path, the transparency and the vulnerability. But as I said before, Annie on YouTube gave you the most amazing compliment about your radical transparency. And if that's an invitation in your book, Authenticity Unveiled, Journey to Self, and now that I know the QR code to the companion guide is in the back of the book, and Mel needs to move her bookmark. I just got a new device before traveling for a little bit on a series of trips in May, so we'll only have one section of We Rise and Soar because it's, a holiday weekend and a bunch of celebratory weekends in there. But that part about holding space, and you hold it beautifully, whether it's space to discover, space to journal, and space to sit with a question. If you are stuck with a question and you are not sure who to answer, Aries, you had a beautiful guide you used to have on your LinkedIn banner, and I haven't looked at the new one recently. I think you have one for your book, and I know you have a link to your circle. We talked about it in your profile. You had before like a guide, that we could pop into the steps, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. We've been connected on LinkedIn for over 4 years, so I don't remember the particular offer, but I love your guide led to identifying strengths. We don't sometimes see the strengths. We see the saboteurs in positive intelligence. We see the weaknesses. We see the critics. We see the judge. And there are 10 saboteurs. The
Nice.
judge is the big one, and I couldn't see mine. You helped me understand to release it. Let it stay outside. To almost hit the pause switch when it shows up. Hey Mary Kay, thank you so much for popping in. Mary Kay, we're talking about Ari's amazing book, Authenticity Unveiled, Journey to Self. And there's a first segment, Reflections, Journey to Self, which is in the comments on LinkedIn and on YouTube if you've subscribed. And I love Mary Kay. I love that beautiful picture of you. And Aries, that part of getting stuck with the words, whether they're as leaders, the words we share, the words we say, the nonverbal community, and Felipe is in the house. Felipe, StreamYard, and LinkedIn are having a little integration. Just you heads up. Amazing hot thoughts, content creators who are checking out today. Where would you suggest we start, Aries, as leaders, whether it's in a corporate journey, an entrepreneurial journey, or in a personal journey? And I know we'll continue talking to through our Journey to Self series. And these are the type of rich discussions that Aries is having in her circles that she's opening up.
Mary said a question to me about when the leadership start, personal, corporates, or the entrepreneurship.
Yep. And this is why I love conversations with this beautiful woman. Her internal transcript is like brilliant. Boy, do you hold space for others. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Mel. I haven't really thought about the questions. I remember a few years ago, somebody said, "Why didn't you do leadership coaching?" And then I had like, leadership coaching now, and I realized that yeah, I'm doing that because coming from the corporate world, I have always think that a leader means you must have that corporate titles, and it took me a while. I have to confess that it took me a while to release that that lens. A leader is not the title. A leader can be anyone, and I think so long we are true to ourselves, I think you are that leader, because when you are being true, people can see that, and when they see that you are inspiring, and then when you are inspiring, you are that leader. So leader is not somebody holding the title, but somebody other people can see that in you and want to hear you, want to follow you. Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Yeah.
I love the lens part. I'm always talking about trust lenses through the part of having reflections, and reflections to journey to self was where we kind of started, was through the lens. And I appreciate you offering us a lens to authenticity. I use the word genuine because I noticed in the roles sometimes someone would feel I was being authentic as a leader in a really toxic environment that I worked in for about 13 years. And I share a lot more stories about that during disruptive business leadership panels. And May is Workforce Month. Uh, I think, and it's Workforce Month in a panel that Ray Kowarski is hosting on Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern. That toxic environment, and even in some family dynamics that are challenging and across cultures, across roles. The conversations I've been having with family members recently as we're preparing for new celebrations and its upcoming anniversaries of celebrations of life. I think we get stuck in the leadership steps. Do I have the certification? Do I have the initials behind my head? Amazing Heather Skillman, who I owe a thank you note for the beautiful, beautiful photos she sent me recently, beautiful note cards. Heather suggested add the letters ABC after your name. You'll feel like you have the credentials. You know, we see people on LinkedIn where there's a comma after their name and there's all of the certifications to kind of have an understanding of the role. But I love that you said leadership is a lens, not the title. And I think also what I love about that, it's also not the seat. The leader can be in the back of the room. They can be in the front of the room. They can be outside of the room. In amazing conversations with Felipe Cofino across his amazing shows and panels and his fabulous books and his stories. And especially Nicole has a like a person behind the pen series. Felipe's story is something really to admire from a leadership journey. It's the reminder you could be the youngest and not feel like the leader. I'm the oldest, and I jokingly say To my younger sibling, I am honored that you are the primary caregiver and the responsible adult. People ask me, am I the younger sister? So I think sometimes in that role of the journey, break down leadership, what it means to you. As Aries is saying, check out her companion guide at the end of her amazing book, Authenticity Unveiled, Journey to Self. So it's a reminder today, after we stop our chit chat and we chit chat more behind the scenes, to increase the amount of hydration. And on that note, Aries, anything you want to say before we sign off, before we next pick a date offline to continue our Journey to Self series?
I want to say thank you for being here, and thank you for hosting me, Matt. And of course, open to questions. If you look at the book link, there is a sample of the introduction. So have a read and see whether that is a book that resonates with you. If yes, then of course, I say please do get a book. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't. So, but I do have to warn you, the book is triggering for many people, and it does take time to read. It is not meant to finish in one go. Mel have taken many months and she's still reading. And I know
And
that
I
people.
and I can't wait T minus 30 seconds to vacation when I can dive into it a little bit deeper as we take a little pause in May. We're taking a couple of pauses, but the reason I suggested pausing in the midst of your book is that journey part. Sometimes you need someone else to hold sacred spaces for you before you take the next step. Sometimes you need to think about it, journal about it. But I hope you accept Ari's invitation to explore her reader circles, to reach out to this beautiful woman who's looking to speak on more stages, wider stages. Ileana says it. I always say titles don't make you a leader. Yes, yes, yes. And I loved being on a panel with the two of you. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And beautiful Shri. Yes,
Mm.
yes, yes.
You will be sleeping now.
Yeah. But we want to thank you for popping in today to Impossible Live Leadership Journey to Self. We want to thank you in advance for popping in and out of our We Rise and Soar communities. Please stay in touch. Stay safe, stay well, stay inspired, and stay in touch and take great care. And find someone you have not spoken with in a while who could use to hear your voice, a visit, bring a plate. Come, come say hi. I am loving the congratulations. This beautiful woman. Her follow her on LinkedIn. Her thank you for being wonderful. You have a magnificent day and a peaceful one, full of blessings, opportunities, and possibilities. And grab a short series of naps before we join amazing shows later from Felipe, Jackie, and Bill. Take great care. And Annie probably has one in another few minutes, knowing Annie. Ah, I appreciate you too, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you soon, Felipe. I'm heading your way, so let's make it happen. This wonderful gentleman, in the terms of leadership and authenticity, follow hashtag Felipe's5. Check out his fantastic consulting services to help enhance leadership and teams. And as Aries, the amount of breakthroughs they help us make is amazing. Take care, everybody. Be well and stay safe.